Welcome to the Diabetes Podcast, where real stories meet real science, helping you take charge, not just take medicine. When you're told you have type 2 diabetes, the first emotion most people feel isn't motivation, it's fear. And sometimes, after fear comes something even harder to admit, denial. Today we're sitting down with someone who knows that feeling all too well, and who turned it into something extraordinary. Danielle Batiste is a mother, veteran, author, and advocate who took her type 2 diabetes diagnosis into her own hands, learned what works for her body, and has lost over 40 pounds and successfully turned this disease around. Her story is one of courage and curiosity, proof that knowledge really is power. She's written Let Go My Glucose, Winning with Type 2, and Diabetes Made Better, helping others see that diabetes isn't a life sentence. It's a wake-up call for transformation. We're going to talk about what denial felt like, what finally sparked change, and why she believes anyone can turn their diagnosis into a story of empowerment. This conversation is raw, real, and filled with hope. Because sometimes the most powerful education comes from a lived experience. Let's go. Hello and welcome to the Diabetes Podcast. I'm Richie.
And I'm Amber.
And today we are talking with Danielle Batiste. Danielle, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And Danielle has an Instagram handle, Diabetes Made Better. And I wanted to ask you some questions, especially around when you were first diagnosed with diabetes. And you've said that denial felt like the safest place to go. Can you tell me a little more about what you mean by that?
It felt, when first told back in 2013, it felt definitely safe. It felt normal. I didn't want to believe it. So I wanted to go back to the old Danielle, the person I was before I walked in there and got the information. Not wanting to hear that, not wanting to believe that, I went into that dark space. And that was safe for me to be, because I didn't want to face what I was going to be facing. So yes, it was safe. It was free. It was Danielle. And I didn't know anything about diabetes. So back to Danielle was the safest place to go. And it was dark, but it was free.
Can you tell me more about that when you say it was the safest place to be, but it was dark? Because those sound very different, safe and dark. Can you tell me how you mean?
In the dark, it's you're moving with your eyes closed. You're not seeing, you're not hearing, you don't want to believe, you don't want to acknowledge. And I'm the type of person, I used to face things head on. I always pride myself on research, and I didn't research that. So I would beat myself up after that I didn't research what she said. So to me, I went in, and I already suffer with depression. So that darkness was safe.
Right. So you had depression prior to being told you had prediabetes and
Yes.
Okay.
And Danielle, if you can remind me, when was your first diagnosis of prediabetes?
The prediabetes was back when I had got out the military in 99, and I had went to the VA, and they mentioned that I was prediabetes, and that was like around in 2003, round up in that time, and nobody expounded on it, and they just let me go.
So just so I understand the timeline, we're talking about a 10-year window from being notified that you had prediabetes to a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. And all of this is through the VA system, is that correct?
Yes, and I was
Okay.
told twice again from the VA system that I had prediabetes. So I was told twice, and I was dumb. It was just like,
Mhm.
and
You,
that was that.
So most people tell me they feel the same. And so it's like there's this disjointedness between, okay, like you said, I'm Danielle. You feel the same as you always have. So what are these crazy people doing telling you have something when you feel the same? Is that what your experience? Okay.
Yes, because the body wasn't doing anything. I didn't feel, I'm like, what was it? I didn't feel any different. I'm like, how can you tell me I have diabetes? And I'm like, I'm not that big. I'm not that old. How did I get diabetes? And I didn't think back, okay, it could be genetics or it could be this or it could be that. I didn't think because growing up, all I heard was sugar. I didn't hear diabetes. If I had heard diabetes, maybe it would have been a little bit different, but all I heard was sugar. And I didn't connect the two dots.
Yeah. I've heard that often. Like, I just have a touch of sugar. That's a very, did my internship in South Carolina at MUSC, and it was just a touch of sugar. And the first time I heard that, I was like, wait, what? And that was the term. Interesting.
So Danielle, I have a question. So 2003, they say you have pre-diabetes. Did they talk at all about what next steps are or what you need to do going forward? Did they even entertain the idea that you might get better?
No.
Okay.
No.
So they're in online, you described feeling like your glucose levels got out of control because you didn't have a clue how to handle the dysfunction. So when you look back on that, I've got two questions. Maybe I'll just ask them one at a time. I guess the first one is, when you went in and they said you have diabetes now, were you still feeling the same, or was it like not surprising because you had started feeling a little different?
No, I was feeling the same. The same.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't believe it.
Got it.
Not saying my doctor didn't know what she was talking about, but I'm like, I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
Okay. No. So I'm like, no, I don't have nothing. Nothing's wrong with me.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, even after you were diagnosed, you were still in denial at that point as well.
Yes, I went into denial for about 1.5 years.
Okay.
And for the grace of God, I didn't get any symptoms until after that.
Okay. And that sounds like the piece where you wrote about, so when did your glucose levels get out of control, like you were speaking of, and you didn't know how to handle the dysfunction?
That's when everything went to hell. After that, because I was still eating the same, because like I said, I was in that denial stage, and then my body probably would say, it's time I show you I'm here. You need to pay attention to what's going on. And that's when I was like, oh, I remember standing in the kitchen, my hands start shaking. And to this day, I still get handshakes. That's how I know when my glucose is going down. And that's when I paid attention. I was like, oh, she was telling the truth. This is real. That's when what I call it, the fighting machine started taking place.
Got it. Got it. And I love that you said the fighting machine. And so what is that to you, and how did it come about?
It came about from those symptoms, and I was like, I'll be damned if you get me.
Yeah.
If you get me, I got a long road. I got to learn. I got to see what you do. It was a learning curve. It took a while. And that's where did my research.
Where did that come from? That fight, that heck to the nah spirit. Not me, not today, not ever.
Because I knew who I was, and I didn't really like nothing beating me, and I couldn't let it beat me. I just couldn't. And it started to. I'm gonna give it, but I was like, I can't let this take me out because I was being ignorant, and I didn't want to do anything about it. So I was like, I got to get it together. And I had a baby. I had a kid.
Yeah.
How old was he at that time?
Brandon was about five or six.
Okay. So any problems with your blood sugar when you were pregnant with him? As far as
No, nobody said anything.
wow. How much, may I ask, how much did he weigh when he was born?
Mr. Brandon was about, I think, 7 pounds, 2 ounces.
Yeah, okay. So that's not usually like a 9-pound or
Mhm.
greater baby would be suggestive of a risk factor, but
Yeah.
all
So
right.
we have to be like really careful that we are with him because his dad is also a diabetic.
Oh, got you. Wow. So what does that mean for you as a parent when you and his dad and your son's dad both have diabetes? What does that feel like as a mother for you?
It's scary because they said it could be genetic. But the good thing I must say, he don't like sweets like that. He don't like sweets. And he's picky about what he eats. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy about that. And I just hope that genetic wise it bypass him.
Got you. Has he changed what he eats since? I
No.
would imagine. No? Okay.
No, he still pretty much still eat what he likes, but he's not. I can't say he's bad. He's a bad eater. I can't say that.
Got it. What do you share with him about your diagnosis and what you're going through, what you've gone through, his risk? Like, do you talk about it all or just a little bit by a little bit?
We can talk about it a little bit by little bit. I'll be like, "Mama tired. Mama, he knows I have a type 2, and if he see me doing something, Mama, you can't eat that. I thought you ain't supposed to be eating that." I was like, "Oh." But
Little food policeman.
yeah, food police. But Brandon, he's a really quiet person. Now, if I could put diabetes on a game, yes, we'll be good.
I see that. I see that. So, was there any specific moment that was, other than just was it the handshaking, like in that moment that you're like, oh no, I'm done with this? Was it a mental switch or did you see something physical that triggered you to say no?
It was the hand. I always, like I said, I always get the handshakes, and even now, that's my first alarm. And when I get my highs, it's just this terrible headache. I would say the feeling of hyper and hypo, I don't want that. I don't want that. So and I guess I could say for every diabetic, the feeling is just something that we don't want. We don't want. I don't like the feeling. Personally, me, I don't like the feeling of neither. So the fight, the trying to control every day is hard. It's tiring sometimes. Even when you do right, you still, oh, I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Why my number? But I can't wallow in what happened in that 10 minutes. I got to go on for the rest of the day or for the next day. So it's get up, continue, and move on.
Can you share with us? Because there's a lot of information online. There is no shortage of information. How did you know? Because you educated yourself, it sounds like, for the most part. Like you were the one that sought out change, that did things differently. How were you able to discern between the non helpful information and the information that was really going to make an impact for you?
To be honest, it's hard to decipher what's good, what's in between, what's bad, because there is a lot. There is a lot out there, and that in itself is distress. You just have to have that discernment on what you're going to listen to, what you're not going to listen to. But me personally, myself, I go by what my body tells me. Because what happens with one diabetic might not happen with me because our bodies are different. The only thing I can say to that was I just went on me, what I wanted to take because there is a lot out. So you just have to just use your discernment.
Got it. Is there anything, I'm not saying that you wish something had been different, but if you had your way, what would have been different in terms of the urgency from your healthcare provider or the information that they provided you with? If you could go back and change things, and of course, things happen the way they happen for a reason. That aside, what would you change or do differently?
Good question. Aside from the VA, and when I met my doctor at McDonald Army Hospital, and she wasn't the first, but when she told me about the pre-diabetes, once again, it was just like went over the top of my head. And she actually kept telling me. And then when I had the symptoms, and the two symptoms I got that time was cotton mouth. That's what I call it. I was like, my mouth was so dry.
Dry mouth. Yeah.
And I kept going to the restroom. As soon as I came out, I went back in, came out, and my coworker was like, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "I don't know." So I called, and my doctor told the nurse, "Tell her don't even come to my office. Go straight to the lab," because she's over the line now. So she automatically knew. And it was just like I still remember it just like it was yesterday. They was like, "We'll call you at 3:30 to tell you what the test results are." And I was sitting at the computer desk by the window. 3:30 they called. It was like, "You're a type 2 diabetic with an 8.6.
Oh.
I'm still like, what is that?
What's an 8.6 A1C mean?
What's that?
Yeah.
She was like, "You got an appointment." They already had made the appointment for me the next day.
So it was the nurse that called you, or the MA? Who was it that gave you the lab results?
The nurse.
Okay.
It was the nurse. And the nurse had already made my appointment with health management to go to have nutrition class, 3 days of nutrition class, and the next day to go get my meter. And when the lady was like, "You have to give yourself a shot 2 days," I said, "No, I'm not doing that." And I think that started the ball of, I'm not.
Okay.
So
you were just like, I'm not taking a shot twice a day, whatever it takes to not do that is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, because I'm scared of needles.
Okay.
So I think the ball was already forming that I didn't, and at the time I didn't know. And then once I finished those classes, I was on my own. So
Were the classes helpful?
to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you what they were talking about in those classes. I think it was like count your carbs and those type of classes. But I'm like, okay, after this, what?
Yeah.
Y'all just left me. What?
Yeah.
So yeah, after that I was on my own, and like I said, after that I just went into myself.
I think what you just described. So I used to work for a diabetes education program, taught the 8-hour class, just like you're speaking of. And it is a whirlwind because we did it. It was 2 days, 3 hours each time. Or maybe even at one point we did it all in just one day. We did 3 hours and then there was a break and then 3 hours again. And it's just like, how much are you going to retain of that? And then after that, now what? Oftentimes there's medical nutrition therapy that you can do through insurance, but most people don't. There's several reasons for that, but it's lack of follow-up, just so not even knowing that's an option. So many things fall through the cracks. And what you said after that, just that you were left floundering, is telling, and so many people do. Now what? Where do I go here? So how long was it from that point before you had your next follow-up with your doctor?
To be honest, I don't know how long the next follow-up was, but she did check up on me, some appointments after that, but there wasn't, for me, information appointments. You just checking to see what my blood level.
This is your blood sugar level. This is your A1C, your blood pressure.
My thing is, what is diabetes?
Right.
What can this thing do? Especially now after I know what is diabetes. Okay, I get all the formalities, the numbers, and all of that. What is diabetes, please? And you give me in short, but okay. We go through the formalities and okay, I'm gone again. And then 3-4 months till finally, now I got another PCP. Here we go again.
Sounds exhausting.
At this point, I'm tired. I'm tired. It's just tired. But
I know you giggle like I'm tired, but I think it's giggling to cover up the pain of exhaustion, the pain of who's really sticking with me through this. I'm all alone. I don't know what this is. I don't know what it does.
And I look back on it and I'm like, okay. I said, maybe this was all my tests to get me to where I am now. I had to go through the fog to get to where I am now. My body telling me, this is what I'm gonna show you. This is what I'm gonna show you. This is what I'm gonna show you. This is what you're gonna learn. This is what you're gonna learn. This is what you're gonna learn. And this is where you're gonna start Diabetes Made Better. And this is where you're gonna show people. This is where you're gonna be transparent. So I just take it as you had to do it. God he took me through all that.
Yeah. I've heard there's a saying, sometimes you have to go through it so you can grow through it, for sure. How do you think things would have been different if from the very beginning your doctor had said, okay, not a big deal because we're going to talk about remission from diabetes? How do you think your mindset would have been different? Your hope, your feeling of not being alone? Would you even thought it was possible at that stage?
She didn't say remission. She didn't use that word because once I had gotten my A1C down to 4.
Whoa.
And
wow. Were you having a lot of shaking and low blood sugar?
That was actually after I came out of my bout of depression and my neighbor started walking with me. And I got the A1C down to 4 and I had went back to her and she was like, oh, you don't have diabetes anymore. And she said, but you have the disease, but my pancreas is compromised. So I was like, so I did all that work for nothing. So that put me back. So I was like, so I can't get rid of this.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So you're on medication, but as far as lifestyle change, you just basically started implementing regular walking with your neighbor. Is that right?
This here was when I came out of denial in the beginning when I was around that time of the first diagnosis and I went into denial and I came out, around 2015. And my neighbor started walking with me. And this was like the early parts of my diabetes. Because I haven't been 4 again, but I am 5.7 now.
It's still beautiful.
But I didn't know of that word remission. But she said my pancreas was compromised and I have the disease. So that back in the beginning, what's the point of trying to fight this and I can't get rid of it?
Did you ask your doctor that?
I didn't ask her. I didn't ask her.
We talk a lot about that kind of shift in mindset, but we have not talked about how to shift your physician's mindset. Getting it down to 4 is an amazing accomplishment. And you would think that, particularly from a doctor's standpoint, that's atypical. We don't normally see that, but rather than applauding effort, just
down.
throw in the cold water on. Yeah.
She threw it on me. And then I was just like, what's the point of trying to do all this work and I can't, but now I see, what it's all about now, but I'm still a fresh diabetic that don't know anything, but I thought I could get rid of this, but I can't. But I hear a lot of remission, and I'm like, yeah, it's remission, but as soon as you do something crazy, guess what? Guess who's back at your door? And that's what happened to me. After that 4, guess who was back at my door?
Yeah.
What'd you do that was crazy?
Divorce.
That'll do it.
Sorry.
That'll do it.
It was
Stress, life comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I want to shift just a little because you said that type 2 diabetes has become an epidemic in the African American community. So, what changes do you think are most needed to break that cycle, whether it's in education, awareness, or access?
It's both. The education and the awareness, because it's not being taught. It's not being taught. It's definitely the education. Definitely.
And what do you think is the best route for that? I know some efforts in public health have been made to make inroads through churches and community centers. What are your thoughts there?
Actually, if we could, it would start sometime probably in the home and what we eating. But definitely at these doctor's appointments and the classes. I would even say start in school.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Say something you said with the Japanese culture and their schools. I think is so
probably
profound.
Best example in the world is Japan. They have one of the lowest incidences of type 2 diabetes in the world.
Wow.
I think probably all of them are sumo wrestlers. But
all the ones who have diabetes are sumo wrestlers.
Yeah. But culturally, in elementary school or their equivalent of elementary school, first off, the food that's provided for the children, they don't allow anything to be pre-prepared. Everything has to be prepared on site with fresh ingredients. There is a dietitian overseeing the menu for the school.
Oh, wow.
And then just nutrition education is part of the regular curriculum, like even at the kindergarten and first grade level. So at a very early age, they're getting not only consistently, let's just say, more nutritionally dense, higher quality food going in, but they're also learning how to kind of meal plan and prepare food, what to look for to include in their meals at an age that that's not even a thing in our culture. It's just completely different from what we do.
That's great.
Isn't it?
That's definitely great.
When we're in more of a position, you, Danielle, me, Richie, when we can influence public policy.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna look to implement.
How to eliminate the diabetogenic environment on the front end as opposed to the back end.
Yes, definitely, because I wouldn't wish this on anybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely a child.
Amen. In Diabetes Made Better, you describe diabetes as not a death sentence, but as something you can live with and even thrive beyond. And that's absolutely our position with that as well. But I'm curious, what mindset shifts helped you truly believe that?
I first thought it was a death sentence, but it's all about listening to your body. Once you listen to your body and your body tells you what's going on inside and it comes out, you can live with it. You can live with it because you're the one that's putting on the inside.
Yeah.
And it's going to relay back on the outside. No. So you can live with it. You can live with it. It's not a death sentence. It could take some things away if you don't do if you don't do what you're supposed to do. And my whole thing is I do not want to live without my eyes. I want my kidneys. I want my heart. I want my legs. Everything. And my thing is if I see a cut, I don't wait a week or two before I'm making a doctor's appointment. I'm at the doctor's because I want this checked out. I pay attention to how fast things are healing on me. I seen a diabetic was putting lotion between the toes. And I was like, excuse me.
Yeah. Oh. Like, not to be nosy and interject, but don't do that. Yeah.
And they were
if you're listening to this podcast, you've been putting lotion in between your toes. Don't do that.
And they was like, why not? I was like, because you get a cut. That's a little moist place and you don't know. And the funny thing is things like that, I had to learn on my own. Nobody told me that. I had to learn all of that on my own. Nobody told me anything. So I'm like,
care is crucial.
And those yearly appointments, go. Go. They are important. Go.
I think you just said something very worth mentioning again, because typically if you have type 2 diabetes and that diagnosis is there, like your A1C is in that diagnosable range, 6.5 or higher, it's not a yearly visit. It's every 3 months that you go to your doctor and follow up, because your physician can bill every 3 months for a new A1C, a new visit with complicated diabetes. And so they're going to have you there every 3 months to make sure things haven't traveled south.
And another thing that I do that I've been, always been doing, don't just pay attention to your A1C. You got to pay attention to the LDL, the HDL,
your cholesterol number.
I read the whole labs. By the time they come to me, I be like, oh, I'm good. I ain't had my glucose is good. This is good. They were like, what you here for? I was like, I know my labs. So I want to know your own care.
Yes.
So go to sit in front of your doctor. Bam. And do not leave your primary care doctor without having your monofilament test done. Test your senses in your feet.
Yeah. And so the monofilament is like this fishing wire, but more stiff, that the doctor will run on the bottom of your feet to make sure you still have feeling, to test for neuropathy.
Have all that done.
Very important.
Have all that done.
Awesome. Yay. For somebody listening who's newly diagnosed with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, who might be scared or angry or maybe in denial, what's the message that you would really hope that they leave with today?
And I'll actually reframe that a little bit. If you could go back to Danielle in 2003, knowing what you know now, immediately after that diagnosis or that conversation with that physician, you could sit down with her for, let's just say, an hour, whatever that is, and you could have a real heart-to-heart with her. What would you tell her to just bypass a lot of the stuff that you had to do? Where would you tell her to go? I think the overarching answer is get smart. You're going to have to take this on. Nobody's going to hold your hand, or at least right now that support network isn't widely available. How do you get good fast so that you don't have to deal with a lot of the negative side effects of this disease?
Me knowing what I know now, I'll be like, this 30-minute appointment that you just gave me should have been an hour and a half appointment. So talk about top to bottom. I want to know everything about type 2 diabetes, at least as much as I can. So when I walk out of here, I can continue the research. I wouldn't have walked out of here, went to my car and went to KFC. I would have went and researched the rest of what you just told me. And I wouldn't probably have been a diabetic today.
You probably could have handed her your book as well.
You were like, I wrote this 15 years in the future.
Yes.
Read it, please.
When I first got out, they went to the VA and they told me I was pre-diabetic. If y'all would have told me something then and I would have researched that, man, I wouldn't have been a diabetic.
Yeah.
No, I'd be like, okay, I'm watching this. Oh no, my doctor said no. But you know what? I take it in stride.
Yeah. I love your little workbook that you have. Can you describe that a bit for us?
My little workbook is, I'm going to be real, I didn't used to all the time want to write down my numbers myself. So
you would not be alone.
So I was like, I need to come up with something that we could do that. First, I want to tell people what diabetes is, give a little education in there, have a little something to write your numbers on, and I want to give you enough space to do it because I write big. So I was like, okay, everybody else might write big too. And
no, you're right. There's a lot of vision issues. You might not have those, but a lot of people with diabetes.
I have this. I need big text.
For different reasons. Yeah. We can all appreciate that. Yes.
So I was like, I want to put as much in there as I can. And I want to continue doing more because what I notice about myself now, I'm constantly thinking about diabetics. and what I can do to make it easier.
And we say people with diabetes just so that there's no ownership of that diagnosis. I think that's very important. Like I am statements, or like you don't say I am cancer, I am carcinogenic, yet people say I'm diabetic. So that's why we really like to reject that saying. I am a person who happens to have type 2 or type 1 diabetes. It's not your full identity. It's just something.
So I'm just constantly always something going through my mind of ways to just make it easier.
Like that. What has healed within you from reaching out and helping other people heal? Because you didn't have to write a book. You didn't have to create a workbook, but you did. So what compelled you to do that?
The fact that I didn't want nobody to start off the way I did. Maybe if they hear my story, somebody else's story, they can ask those questions, and hopefully that help somebody else.
Why was that so important to you?
It was important because I just didn't want to see nobody feel the way I felt, like I was just lost. And just went upon my life like I didn't have nothing wrong with me. When in fact I had something going on with me, and I was just like, whatever. If you could start fighting now versus later, let's do it.
I love that.
Absolutely. Before, as your doctor said to you, before your pancreas has some damage. And to be fair, you can heal your pancreatic beta cells to a point. If they're all destroyed, then remission is not possible. And before you're diagnosed, half of your pancreatic beta cells are typically destroyed. And so I know that's what your doctor meant, but I'm sorry that they didn't first celebrate with you the victory, because the 4A1C is incredible.
You're doing better than me at that point.
And absolutely. And then just say on guard, like you must be diligent. You must continue this journey instead of your pancreas is still broken. Is that helpful?
It wasn't until maybe, I don't know how long ago, that I actually had to go look and see what a pancreas looked like. Because I never went to even look and see what that looked like.
Yeah. Knowing what it looks like still doesn't really help you understand any much more about it, if that helps, knowing. So Danielle, where can people find you? Where can they find your book? Where can they find your workbook? Where can they feel your universe and your help and comfort?
Where can they get access to some tools? Because to me, it sounds like you never were given any tools to work on this thing yourself. They're happy to hand out medication, but there's not a lot of tools in this space. There's not a lot of tools for anybody that wants to make it better, and you've created that.
You can find me on IG at Diabetes Made Better, which also have my website on there, www.daniellebatiste.com. And on my website, I have it to where I think I made it a little easy, where you see the ebooks and the books and the digital, trying to make it easy for everyone. And the planner is also on there as well. And you can get it from Amazon if you don't want to go to the website. But you can get it also on Amazon, the glucose planner.
And we'll put the links to those in our show notes for the listeners as well.
Yeah.
And I'm working on more things. I'm working on more things.
Awesome. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a pleasure to get to know you. And I appreciate your vulnerability and your truth in your journey as someone who has come up against diabetes. And I love that you're on the conquering side of this.
Thank you guys for having me.
More success stories, the better. Thank you so much, Danielle. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Danielle's story is such a powerful reminder that change begins the moment you decide to stop letting the disease win. What we love most is how she found strength not through perfection, but through awareness, learning what works for her body, asking questions, and making one small change after another. Whether you've been told you have prediabetes or you've been living with type 2 diabetes for years, Danielle's message is clear. Remission is possible, but you don't have to do it alone. At Empowered Diabetes, we help people take the same step Danielle did with science, support, and a proven plan for success. You can learn more at empowereddiabetes.com and join our community of people rewriting what's possible with type 2 diabetes. Because your diagnosis isn't the end of your story, it's the start of a better one. Until next time, take courage. You can do this, and we can help.